More than 200 books are going to be pulled from Edmonton Public Schools this fall. The list is linked to the province's new policies on age-appropriate content for students. But as Sam Sampson explains, the Premier has something to say about the banning of these books.
You're looking at some of the 200-plus banned books from Edmonton Public School libraries, all deemed to have inappropriate, sexually explicit content, including...
They should have never given us uniforms if they didn't want us to be an army.
The Handmaid's Tale, a dystopian story by Canadian author Margaret Atwood that was made into an award-winning series. In response to the ban, Atwood tweeted, "Hi kids, Handmaid's Tale has just been banned in Edmonton. Get one now before they have public book burnings of it."
Do you object to the books that are on that list?
So I'll be having some more conversations with Edmonton Public Schools.
The list comes after Alberta's education minister signed off on a new provincial policy earlier this summer. It lays out rules for school boards to ensure only age-appropriate books are available for students. The list from Edmonton Public is the first to detail which titles should be pulled from shelves. You have 6 titles on this banned book list.
Is that all? They haven't found the rest of them yet.
Ellen Hopkins has been here before. The American is one of the most banned authors in the United States. She's known for Crank, a freeform novel about her daughter's struggle with meth addiction. That book isn't on this list, but many others are.
It's certainly not the government's place to come in and say, you can't read this book, as a teenager or whomever. From there, it goes to telling teachers what they can and can't teach in their classrooms. I really hope that what the kind of creeping authoritarianism has happened here doesn't make its way north.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says this list misses the mark.
Edmonton Public is clearly doing a little vicious compliance over what the direction is. And so if they need us to hold their hand through the process to identify what kind of materials are appropriate, we will more than happily work with them.
The book policy started when a group of parents contacted the education minister. They raised concerns about 4 coming-of-age graphic novels that depict sexual 2S LGBTQ+ content, all of which are now on the banned list. But the group agrees with the Premier. The school board, they say, is not taking this seriously.
They're trying to find a way to not have to take the inappropriate books off of shelves. They would literally rather ban classic books or play roulette with it than protect kids.
This kind of literary censorship doesn't work, but it does teach children that, when you encounter an idea that you find difficult or challenging or offensive, that the correct solution is to ban it.
Other Alberta school boards say they're still deciding on which books they'll pull. They have until October to make the call, but school starts with or without these titles on shelves in just a few days. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
Now, another one of the books on that banned list is Lullabies for Little Criminals. It belongs to Canadian author Heather O'Neill. She tells us while it was written for older readers, the novel still resonates with younger audiences.
It wasn't written for adolescents, but they really attached themselves to this book. There's something in the writing. And, through the years, I've had innumerable people who've come up to me who've read it, who were in the foster care system, and they related to the characters in the book. But also just ordinary teenagers are drawn to this. It shows them a world that marginalized teenagers are living in. It shows them, abuses that are happening, and they really, really profoundly relate to it. And so many writers who are younger than me have come up and said, Lullabies for Little Criminals was assigned in high school, and it was the first time a book seemed like it was written for me. So the idea that adults are coming in and they're taking this away from young people who are looking for literature is devastating to me. And you also have to understand that a lot of we don't own our children's minds. And one of the most beautiful things when I was young is going to a library, and it's not censored. And you can go and you choose the books and you decide for yourself where your mind wants to go. So in the idea of book banning, it was very surprising to me that it was happening here in Canada, because Canada is always one of these countries that people come from other countries where they can't write. So they have this freedom of the press.
And we've already seen some mixed reaction in Alberta, where we have the premier suggesting that they may be wanting to offer guidance to the Edmonton Public School system. Now, your book is assigned reading in some Canadian schools, and you've been surprised by how it's been received by young kids. Why do you think it struck a chord among some younger people?
You know, I think it's the openness and honesty of that. It's just subjects that children are interested in. And they're also interested in sexuality. If you're going to start having books without any sex, adolescents are going to notice. They're going to notice that there are things missing and this is not real life. You're, again, censoring them and hiding things. But there is something also, the idea for me, when I wrote this book, I was writing about my own background and that I had come from this marginalized, impoverished world in a sketchy part of Montreal, and that I had created this universal figure, or this character named Baby, who was able to speak about that sort of life in Montreal. And then everybody related to it. It made me feel so much more part of Canadian society. And I think a lot of adolescents who read it and feel sort of like they're not actually in this perfect nuclear family of the right social economic background, they were able to find such wonder in this book and the idea that anybody can be a poet, anybody can see beauty in the world.
What would you say to parents and guardians, though, who are perhaps concerned sexually explicit content is harmful to the children in their lives?
Well, it depends. As parents, we all have different ideas of what is permissible. But to start with saying we're going to take out books that are sexually explicit, it's a slippery slope. What is the next reason going to be? And when do you just take all the sort of edginess and wonder out of literature? And also, I think parents need to know that children's minds if you want to foster an intellectual child with intelligence, you have to let their minds wander. You have to let them make their own decisions. They can read things and reject them, find it's too far, and find their own moral compass in the world. We can't just that's not how morality works. We allow children and adolescents to explore the full range of art and human experience. I mean, back in, when the Nazis came to power, they started calling so many artists degenerates and began banning their books and art. And that is because when you start doing that, you are censoring the imagination, and it just can't grow that way. So I think parents should just be delighted that their children are reading. It's incredible. And once they start intellectually engaging with the subject matter, they're going to make their own decisions from it.
And lastly, Heather, where do you see this ending up? Do you think that your book will be reinstated on shelves, given the tension between the public school board in Edmonton and the premier, it seems?
It's hard to say with Lullabies in particular. I don't know if mine will be axed or not, but I do think it's a dangerous move to start bringing this attitude into Canada, where we do believe that all books should be available for those who want to read them, and stop deciding who gets to write books, because it's not only the sexuality, it's who's writing about the sexuality and what kind of sexuality they're writing about.
Canadian author Heather O'Neill, we really appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.